A pleasant good evening to everyone viewing on the Barbados channel, listening on Abundant Life Radio, and viewing on Facebook and YouTube. My name is Star George, and today I had a very, very eventful day. But not just only me, but everyone here in this studio. We had an awesome, awesome day today. But before we go into what we did, I would like to introduce this beautiful panel with me this evening. Good evening, ladies.
Good evening.
Hi.
Good evening, Star.
How are we?
We're doing great.
All
Yes.
right. All right,
Awesome.
perfect. So I would just like you all to introduce yourself, and when we get through with introductions, just tell us why you are here.
Okay. Right. So thank you, Star. I am Dr. Shireen James Williamson, and I am the current head of department for the Department of Geography and Geology at the University of the West Indies, Mona. I am a geologist by training, and my research hinges around geoheritage, geoparks, and for this particular trip to Barbuda, it hinges on non-economic loss and damage, and we'll talk some more about that in a little while.
Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Tanik Demsoy. I attended the University of the West Indies St. Augustine campus. With my undergrad, I studied geography, and I recently completed my master's in climate studies with a concentration in food security last September. And I was brought onto the project as a CRIF intern in 2025, and Doctor was so gracious to keep me for the rest of the project.
And I am Georgia Nalfi. I'm also based at the University of the West Indies, Mona, in Jamaica. My background is also in geology. I've been working with Dr. James Williamson for how many years now? Probably a very long time, 7-8 years now, since 2018. And we've been, working together ever since. I've been working in geoheritage and looking at the ways in which people or culture intersect with landscape, and the ways in which people interact with their environment, or we value different, parts of our environment, or, natural systems, looking at the ways in which, things all come together essentially. So, that's my background in that. That's where I kind of plug into the project as well.
Awesome. Well, congratulations to
Yeah.
the both of you. I know studying for your undergrads and your graduates is not easy. So congratulations to the two of you. And Dr. Williamson, you have a wonderful team here.
Indeed, I do.
So let's get down to the nitty-gritty now. So you're here to do a small study on non-economic losses, correct? So just tell us here in the studio, because I'm a novice to this, okay? So tell me here and to all those who are viewing and watching what non-economic loss is and what the project is based about.
Well, our project, I'm going to tell you the title first. It says Resilience Through Evidence and Action on Loss and Damage, REAL, in Antigua and Barbuda and Barbados. So we spent a few days in Barbados before coming here. So our two study sites are Barbados and Barbuda. Now, in terms of non-economic loss, I think people can identify with the economic losses. In fact, when we get the post-disaster assessments and reports, we usually know what fraction of GDP was the damage. And we know the cost of rebuilding a road, or the cost of rebuilding a bridge or something. But largely, there has not been a lot of emphasis on the psychological effects. There has not been a lot of, and this is related to climate change. So there has not been a lot of emphasis on the traditions that might be lost or could be lost in the future. So arts and crafts, things that we grew up seeing, eating, things that we grew up doing, some of the games, a lot of these, because of the loss in our environment, because of the loss in maybe even the psychological trauma, and as far as people migrate to other places because of the perceived damage or potential for more similar damage, we need to be able to quantify this. Now, while we are not able to quantify it in dollars and cents, we can quantify it in the loss to the community. How does the community feel about it? And this project is looking at how the community feels, what they feel, what they would like to see the young people in the community be able to experience later on. So we would want to document stories. In fact, we were talking today about documenting recipes and the how-tos of some of the things that we think we would be losing. And so within that context of non-economic loss, we want to look at environmental, social, psychological or emotional, and we want to look at tradition, cultural heritage that we might lose because of climate change and associated hazards. So I hope that we can spend a little bit more time with additional examples, but this is what we are going to be talking to the population of Barbuda about. So we want to walk about in Codrington over the next couple of days and talk to people about this and get some details so we can pull things together. Within that context, I will suggest that Tinique talk about the story maps that we're doing, because that takes in personal stories from people. I would like to call her an amateur filmmaker. And then Georgianne can tell you a little bit more about the focus group and how that fits into the entire picture. Because we will do a survey. And that survey we will walk about and do, but we can talk about that once we just get an update on some of this.
Okay, so Tinique, you're the amateur filmmaker. So just tell us a little bit about, like the stories that you're excited to capture. Just tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, the story map in general is a means to educate the public on the effects of climate change and the loss and damage that the region is experiencing. And we're trying to focus on specific case studies, like here at Codrington. So one of the things that we learned in our research is that there's a breach in the lagoon. And so one of the stories we want to tell is how is that affecting the fishermen and any traditional practices they might have had that are being lost because of that breach. And we also learn about the land tenure issues that the country is experiencing. So that is something that I really would like to hear from the people of Barbuda, because I read a lot about it in like news articles and in some journals, but I would like to know how the people feel about this, what's going on, what's changing. Is there any means to help the breach, to help the lagoon replenish itself, because it's a big breach. It was a lot bigger than we were expecting. So yeah, and just anything else that I might not have found in research, what else we can learn from the people and hopefully document that to keep these traditions alive. So
Georgianne?
Yeah, well, as Dr. James Williamson said, for the first part of the study, we're planning to do a survey where we have, more so targeted questions, where we plan to, engage at least 30 people. And then the follow-up would be a focus group where it's more of a tight-knit group, probably maybe 8 to 12 people. And that's more of like a detailed, more personal scope from a smaller group of people. But we start to sort of flesh out individual experiences and observations, perceptions from things that you don't necessarily get from maybe a survey that's maybe, as I said, it goes out to a larger group of people. So we don't necessarily get to capture those small little details or little things that might provide additional context to our study. So, and also to get a sense of what they believe is important, what they believe or would be appropriate solutions to their problems, and sort to tailor a more maybe site-specific or location-specific strategy to to address those issues that you might have here in Florida.
Very powerful, because there is a lot of issues, because you mentioned the breach. The breach was much smaller before in 2017 to where it is now in 2026, and that is very alarming, because before in the lagoon we never had sharks coming
Yes, we heard that this morning.
Into the lagoon, and there are currents now that are in the lagoon that weren't ever there. So there's a lot of climate change happening, especially with the breach, and it is very important that these things are documented, especially passing down to generations to come, and also to get out into the world, so something could possibly be done.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited that you all are here to do this. But Dr. Williamson, let's come back to you when it comes to the surveys. So just give the public just a general idea of how the survey would be.
Well, we have some questions, and we've broken these questions up into, I would say, some groupings. So first, we just want to get demographics and background on people, who they are, how old they are, if they're male and female, what their livelihoods are. But then we want to talk about a little bit, just ask them about economic loss related to any damage that they've experienced due to a hurricane, a flood, other natural disaster that has occurred. But largely, the other two sections is where the meat of the matter is, which is the non-economic loss and damage, where we want to talk about cultural practices. So we want to find out about cultural practices, we want to find out about historic buildings, any important building or monument that may have been lost as a result of strong wind, flooding, inundation by storm surge, maybe even a bushfire as a result of a lightning strike, for example. We also want to find out about intangible culture, so anything within the context of the language, music, food traditions, family heirlooms that may have been lost that, maybe we have somebody who have one of this thing left, we could take a picture of it. I remember somebody mentioned, I think when we spoke today, you spoke about broom making. That's also something important that we would want to capture. Somebody mentioned kite flying, so we want to know how people feel about these things, because it would be good to document how some of these things are done, so that future generations can actually benefit. And then the last section, and then we want to know about how people feel if they've experienced stress. Somebody mentioned today PTSD. So we don't want to really churn up difficult memories, but we want to know how this affects people in general, because that will impact what Section 4 is about, which is coping, adaptation, and resilience. Because we can't talk about heritage, disaster heritage, or loss and damage without talking about resilience and how people cope and how we expect to move into the future. And so some of those things we wanted to talk about in terms of when people moved, if they were relocated or displaced, how the situation was, when they came back, how did they feel about coming back. We want to know how they plan on making themselves or have been making themselves, if they can, into a more viable future. And last but not least, we wanted to find out about their support. Most of all, we want people to tell us their stories, and they don't have to spend an hour telling us a story. It could just be a little tidbit, something small, and what we need to mention is that all of this is anonymous. We are not collecting names. We aren't even collecting likeness unless somebody wants to go on camera. We are collecting your stories. It's going to be oral, and we can put that story against an image. We can put that story just as with caption. We just want people to talk to us. We want to know how Barbadians are going to exist in their future and how they expect their children to exist in the future, and what traditions we want them to have, what memories they want them to have, because there are good memories, there are not so good memories, but we have other places that have been decimated by disaster, and the stories live on. And this is what we want, the stories to live on, the traditions to live on. We were talking a while ago about Caribana.
Yes.
We would want Caribana to live on. Zeke mentioned that there is, I asked him if there are costumes, and he said, not so much now.
Not so much anymore.
And I asked him, is that climate change related? And he nodded. And that's something that's important that we want people to talk to us about. How do they feel about not having the same kinds of things? And why we don't have the same kind of things, so we can understand. And within that context, we can share that data with the council and see how, between community and council, how we can help ourselves to have a future that, or children who are local as well as children in Antigua and other parts of the region can see how we make a broom, can
Yes.
see how to make tamarind sauce, or, you know, whatever it is that is common. You know, maybe you can teach somebody to make a kite.
Yes.
Because, I mean, a lot of people don't know how to do that.
Yes, because we're really in the generation of iPad children.
yes.
And the children not going outside, and they're just staying inside watching Bluey and all that. There's nothing wrong with Bluey.
Yeah,
but
Bluey is amazing.
Bluey is amazing.
But Bluey not going to teach them how to make a kite.
Exactly. So
To fly in Barbuda.
Exactly. Just the heritage, like the cultural things that I grew up
What makes
doing,
Barbuda
what makes
Barbuda.
Barbuda.
Yep.
And that is something that we need to keep. Even though we evolve in whatever way it
Yep.
is,
Yep.
these are certain things that we need to keep those traditions
Yep.
alive.
Yep.
So just tell the people where we could be in the coming days doing this survey.
Oh, okay. I think largely we're going to be in the square. That's near where we had some very lovely food yesterday and today. I cannot fail to mention that. So now I'm thinking about the food. I'm losing my train of thought. But yes, we're going to be in the square. We're going to be near to the Pentecostal church, and certainly we will spend some time here at Abundant Life.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to be moving around the community, but those are some of the places that we will stop, and we're hoping that people will be in these areas.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm inviting people to come out to these areas to just stop and talk to us a little bit and answer our survey. And I want to mention that it is not only information from the citizens that we want. At the end of this project, we give something back.
Right.
So there will be an exhibition, and we've invited U-Star to participate in the design team for the graphics for that. There will be an exhibition. We are now trying to decide or work on where it's going to be placed, but we have an exhibition that will go up, several panels, and the panels not only will showcase the information we have gathered from Barbuda, but it will showcase the information we've gathered from Barbados as well, so we can learn from each other. So in Barbados, the same thing will happen. The panels will also be there, so that it's not a traveling exhibit. Barbuda has their own, and we're putting it up with the nuances of things that we've already seen displayed in Barbuda, and we will do the same thing at the Barbados Museum and Historical Society. So we're hoping that the museum here can house this thing. If it's too large for inside the museum, we certainly would like to host it outside. We're trying to decide where outside it will be. It could be at the school, it could be by fisheries, but it's going to be very large. We're talking about 8x4 panels, and the information should be 5 panels in all that describes the project and then provides information. We will have also the story maps that Tinique mentioned. We have a draft of that, and it has Caribbean-wide information, but we will also have a mirror of that exhibition on that same website, and we will have the report from this project that we will also provide that can be accessed by Barbudians to be able to see what we've come up with. And if people read it and there's more information that's available, we can update our information and allow for people to be able to access what we have. But all the panels will have QR codes, so you can link into all of this digital archive. So whether it's the report or the story maps, additional posters, additional information, because there are things that we're being told as we go along that exist.
Yes.
And we want people to be able to access some of this. So any know-how, food preparation, recipes, we're going to look into how we can publish some of that as well.
Right.
So we're not coming to take.
You're coming to
We're
give.
coming to give.
All
Yes.
right. Well, Barbadians, you've heard it from Dr. Williamson. They're not coming to take, they're coming to give. And other than you three lovely people that are here, that are going to be in those areas, who else would be there helping?
Oh, well, we can't be in a place like Barbuda without locals to help us.
Yes.
So, of course, we have young Master Grayson, who I'm sure everybody knows, our local school teacher.
Yes.
And sports science extraordinaire and cricketer. And of course, we have Ezekiel Francois, better known as Zeke, who is, of course, politician extraordinaire. I will tease him all the time. And then, of course, there's you, Star.
Yes.
We could not do this without having you on board. And we are extremely grateful that you have spent the time with us today, and that you'll spend the time with us over the next few days to help us to collect information. There's no way that we could come into Barbuda and talk to your residents without the presence of a team from here, and we're really grateful that you guys made yourselves available for us.
And thank you for giving us the opportunity.
Yes.
Because it's all about partnership and
Indeed.
working together for the community, whether it be Barbuda, Barbados, Trinidad, wherever in the Caribbean. It's all about networking for the community on a whole.
Yes.
So is there anything anybody would like to say before we close out? Because this was powerful. And I will ask you again, Dr. Williamson, to tell the people where we will be, because we're obviously going to be walking around the village and everything, but the central areas they can find us.
Okay, so we'll be in the main square. And
Madison Square. People.
Madison Square, yes, that's the name. I know it's an M word, I'm learning. So we'll be in Madison Square, and we will be by the Pentecostal Church.
The Barbuda Pentecostal Church.
Pentecostal Church, and we will be by Abundant Life Ministries at different times throughout the day. We will try as best as possible to coexist in all three places at once, but wherever you see us, once you see Star, Zeke, or Grayson, just come up and talk to us.
Right.
We are already just looking at different things in Barbuda that I think even Georgian's field area of study, which is Geosystem Services and Geoheritage. We're seeing, we've seen quarries, we've seen Old Fort, all kinds of things here that would be very, very interesting to study. So I'm sure this is not going to be our last trip, because we have to come back, of course, for the launch of the exhibition. But certainly there is a lot more that we can do. But Madison Square, Abundant Life Ministries, and the Barbuda Pentecostal Church is where we will be spending a lot of our time tomorrow and Monday. So tomorrow, after you have your Sunday lunch, take a walk. Come out, come and chat with us. We will be very, very willing to hear your stories and chat with you for a little bit.
All right. Georgian, is there anything that you would like to say to the public?
Just looking forward to hearing from you guys, hearing your stories, your experiences. I find that in a lot of ways we're similar. So it is just nice to hear from a Caribbean neighbor. So even in that sense, just excited to hear from you guys and interact and just share stories.
It's been really nice being here so far. The people, you all very, very nice.
Yes.
And I'm looking forward to hearing more of these stories and sharing those stories with the rest of the people of the world. So,
I want to eat more food.
You want to eat more food? Well, you've heard it directly from Dr. Williamson. Barbadans, y'all can cook. Y'all can cook. The food is A1. But I want to say thank you all for taking the time out to be here at the Barbuda channel to get the word out there, because this is a very vital part, and the community plays a very crucial part in doing this project. So I would like to thank you all again for being here, and we will see you soon. And to the public of Barbuda, I want to personally invite you all out. We're going to be at Abundant Life Ministries, Madison Square, and the Barbuda Pentecostal Church from tomorrow afternoon and the entire of Monday. We'll be around, me, Grayson, and Ezekiel, along with this panel here, to get some information from you, whether it be a story, whether it be a survey, whatever it is that you feel is necessary for the contribution for this project. We are open to hear it from you. So I want to say thank you all again for being here. And until we come your way again, my name is Star George, signing out. Have a great evening.
Thank you.